Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Kia ora, Bolt fam, it's the Director. Chargers fans, tomorrow, baby, 24 hours, and the Chargers will be making their selection in round 1, pick 22. A big year to be a Chargers fan. Following the NFL draft, as we've seen huge success from our brand new GM, Joe Ortiz, in his first season last year. That was a smashing success with Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey, the mid-round corners. What's the follow-up season going to look like, man? What sort of impact players are we going to find in the first round via value in the middle rounds? Some awesome positions that we do need this season, like defensive line, edge, running back. Very exciting times ahead of us, man. But if there's one thing that's always a certain on draft night, anything can happen. It is as unpredictable as anything you're going to find in the league, in sports, and it's something that really keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout the whole process of watching the draft unfold. That is what we are going to hone in on today, the predictive powers of the Director, on what we think wacky is going to happen on draft night. I got a number of bold predictions I think could happen on draft night that could affect the Chargers, both positively and negatively, but things that could certainly help the Chargers in maneuvering and finding pieces that fit the Jim Harbaugh, Joe Ortiz vision and put us on a nice trajectory to be a contender in 2025. Bold predictions episode incoming. Before we do get into it, man, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Newcomers, take advantage of the offer on screen. It is a great way to support the Director and everything I do here on the channel, while also having some fun along the way. Before we do kick off, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy the Chargers content. Small amount of time you guys take, the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it, baby. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history.
Your Chargers bold draft prediction episode. What is going to happen to the Bolts at pick 22 and beyond? I think we're going to cap it off with one more mock draft, right? One more predictive, bold prediction mock draft. Trying to sneak in a few under the radar. As PFF is updated, it looks really good in terms of the rankings all of a sudden. You guys can catch another live mock draft tonight on Bleacher Report when I do go live on their platform. But it should be a good time. All right, dudes, let's jump into it. Bold predictions on the draft regarding the Chargers. You guys are going to see the face, the number, the talented Colston Loveland on screen and say, hey, Director's about to predict that we get Colston Loveland at 22. And I'm going to go ahead and say that's definitely a possibility. I would certainly say that, you know, tight end is the kind of position that tends to slide. If he were available at 22, the likeliness of him being selected is also very, very high. But my bold prediction in today's video is that Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are both gone inside the top 15 picks, which again, not everything on this video is going to be good news for the Chargers, but it's not also necessarily bad news either. This is something that you plan for. It's something that I experienced in the huge Bleacher Report creators mock draft that involved 32 people in charge of every single team. Guess what happened in that draft? The Jets ended up drafting Tyler Warren inside the top 10, and the Indianapolis Colts took Colston Loveland at 14. I think there's a possibility he can go even a little higher to the Niners or another squad. Who knows? But these are two of the most talented players in this draft. Obvious first-round grades for both of them. And if they were taken inside the top half of the draft, I would not be the least bit shocked. It's something we need to plan for. Okay, I think a lot of Chargers fans have their hearts set on this idea of Colston Loveland. I do as well. Dudes, if it happens, if he's there, pick 20, pick 21, whatever, we're going to be pounding the table. Loveland. Like, it's going to be the big thing tomorrow, I promise you. But also be prepared if both of these guys are gone and the Chargers need to look in a different direction in terms of position, in terms of value, in terms of, how they want to attack that pick 22. Is the likeliness of one or both of those guys being gone inside the top 15, I think are pretty high, in my opinion. I think the chances of Colston Loveland making to us, it feels like a 50-50 thing. The positional value has to be weighed, but also the talent has to be weighed. And for that's going to be my first prediction. Prediction number 2. Okay, let's get into some good news for Chargers fans, all right? I got the position of quarterback coming into play here. I think 3 quarterbacks will be selected before the Chargers pick at 22. This one is a little high, I'm going to say it, but this is a bold predictions episode, okay? So we can all get over it. I think 3 quarterbacks is not too far of a stretch of the imagination considering how many desperate teams are lined up in front of the Bolts. You got the Giants, the Jets. New Orleans sneakily could be in need of a quarterback with the whole Derek Carr rumor revolving around him. You got the Browns. You got the Raiders, who are always reaching. And you got the Steelers, who are just a few picks, or the pick in front of the Chargers. And with all that put together, there are some names that are starting to climb in terms of, first-round potential. I think Jackson Dart, likely one of those guys that people are locking in as a first-round selection for many teams. Another guy that's climbing, Jalen Milroe. Dude, this guy got selected to the Steelers in the Creators mock draft on Bleacher Report. I was shocked, dude. I wanted to give that guy all kinds of, crap for the selection, but who knows, guy? I mean, it could be the next Lamar Jackson. It could be the next big thing, and that's what happens when you need quarterbacks so desperately. Start making a lot of justifications. Cam Ward, Shanor Sanders, Jalen Milroe, maybe Jackson Dart. I think a combination of 3 of those guys easily could go in the top 21 picks, which is good news for the Chargers. We want this to happen. We want to see positions, or I should say, talent fall to number 22. I think the Chargers are in a great position to have talent fall to them at 22. We have a good, roster as of right now, where we're not extremely needy at any particular position, that we can go best player available. And the need for these positions, including offensive line, by the way, I'm going to say this too. We haven't talked much about this, but this is actually extremely important. The Chargers do not need to select a tackle this season. Obviously, we got Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. Absolutely no reason to go in on that position. And there's other teams that really, really need it. So quarterback, tackle, these are positions that are going to push talent down to the Chargers at 22. And ultimately, I think it's within reason, bold prediction that could happen to help the Chargers draft position. All right. Next up, this one is interesting. And I think this is one that maybe I can get more Chargers fans on board with. I think it may end up being the right move. But my prediction here is that the Chargers will primarily attack skill positions in 2025. What that means is, the Chargers mainly known for attacking the trenches. You got the defensive line, offensive line. It all starts at that point. Don't get me wrong. I do think that we're going to see a pick, or at least 2 selections in the trenches via offensive line, defensive line. Lump edge in there as well. But I do think the Chargers' biggest need at this point does revolve around skill positions. Wide receiver, huge need. Tight end, you can consider the same thing. Huge need. Running back, sneakily. Yeah, we got Najee Harris, but on a 1-year deal in a season with a whole lot of really good running backs, I would think that we take one. Cornerback also sneakily important. You could even lump safety in there if you want some good depth later down the line. But skill positions, in my opinion, might end up taking precedence in this year's draft, which by all means is a good thing. It's a good thing because you take a look at what the Chargers accomplished last season and how they did so. I would say the Chargers' success as an 11-win team in 2024 mainly revolves around the success of the defense. Defense slapped, man. The top scoring defense in football. The Chargers' offense barely limped to the finish line. resulting in a playoff appearance. But my goodness, you add some help at wide receiver, running back, tight end, corner, even a little bit. On the defensive side of the football, you're going to see some of that too. You're going to see some dramatic improvement. I would say mainly on the offensive side of the football. So what this prediction is, in layman's terms saying is that you are going to see a good amount of skill position players come to the Chargers this season. We are going to be stamped and labeled as the trench team, as the tough team, which again, I mean, you can still draft a whole lot of toughness at those skill positions as well. But I think we may end up shocking people with how many skill positions that we take this year. Just considering that, a lot of these positions, they're kind of deep. Running back is kind of deep. Wide receiver strangely looks really good in day 2 and 3. Corner strangely looks really good in day 2 and 3. I think you're going to end up seeing some pretty cool stuff this year, man. This is distracting me, man. We just came out of the shower last night. We went to bed. We had the wet hair and all that. Okay, let's get into the next bold prediction. All right. Round 1. I think the Chargers are going to select defense at pick 22. Maybe not everybody a huge fan of that, but just kind of looking at the way the board's been falling, outside of Emeka Egbuka, your thoughts on Matthew Golden? I mean, if Ted McMillan falls all the way down there, I think it's a different story, but mostly the guys in the range to the Chargers that have been falling in and around the area feel like defensive players, defensive positions that really do stand out. And I think, obviously, the guy like Kenneth Grant is available at 22. It's probably going to happen. Right now, I would say, if you want another bold prediction lumped into this one, Kenneth Grant will be the Chargers selection at 22. It feels like a match made in heaven. He would be an absolute beast. The familiarity is obviously off the charts. But the bold prediction being defense here does, involve other positions as well. I mean, other guys even at defensive tackle. Walter Nolan could easily be the selection at 22. Derek Harmon, awesome talent to take at 22. Those guys have insane potential. But then you guys got like edge rushers as well, man. Edge rushers sneakily huge priority for this team. I got to tell you, it feels like, quarterback, offensive line, edge feels like maybe the third most important position to the Jim Harbaugh way of life. And there's guys that they've talked to like Donovan Ezeraku. He could certainly be the pick at 22. You got Mike Green, who could slide to them at 22. It would be a great value. Jamar Stewart, I've seen to the Chargers a couple of times as well. These are all guys that could really add to what the Chargers were already really good at last season on defense, while also giving them the insurance of what happens after the Khalil Mack era has come and gone. Of course, we don't have Joey Bosa this season too. Lots revolving around that pick. And then even further than that, if you wanted to stretch it even further and say, hey, watch out for the defensive backs. Janae Barron, I got to be honest with you guys. There's, a lot of talk about it. Can he play outside? Is he is he a top 15 talent in the draft? I understand that. But to the Chargers specifically, a guy that's that versatile, that can play nickel, that can play high safety, that can play corner, play pretty much anywhere you align him on the field. He's another Derwin James. That could easily be the pick. What if Will Johnson slides to us at 22, corner out of Michigan? Obviously, that would probably be a good pick for the team, too. Even stretch your mind as far as saying, what about Malachi Starks, right? Like, I know we are not hurting at safety, but just like I said with Barron, what about another Derwin James, another huge impact player at that position? You can obviously move Derwin James wherever you need. I don't know, man. It just feels like defense, good chance of that happening in the first round. Some great players to take there as well. And I would say that I'm kind of leaning in that direction anyway. I think best player available is probably going to come from the defensive side of the football in round 1. Next bold prediction. I got the Chargers selecting a running back in day 2. You guys know this. Last season, if you were to watch all my content, you probably would have seen the obsession I had with Ladd McConkey. And as we drew closer to that pick and the Chargers traded up in the second round, the selection happened, you would see that I went absolutely bananas. Like, I was so excited. I've been a huge McConkey fan the entire offseason, and here we are on draft day, and it's happening. I'm hoping it happens again, because my sweet spot for running back is day 2. Whether it be round 2 or round 3, I think you are going to get a starting caliber running back in this round, because there's just so many of them. This draft is loaded at the position. All of these guys, in my opinion, could be a top. This is how impactful I think this year's running back class is going to be. I think in the next 5 years, a majority of the top 10 running backs in the league could come from this class. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? Maybe it's not too far of a stretch of the imagination. But there's just so much talent in this class for running back. I want to get a piece of this pie. And some of my favorite to attack are in the second round. Caleb Johnson is one of my personal favorites in this draft. I think he would thrive with the Chargers as a physical running back of the future. But to me, the perfect fit for this team is probably Quinshon Judkins. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. He's got the physicality. He would be a beastly RB1 for this squad going forward. Trevion Henderson would be insane. Dylan Sampson would be insane. Cam Scatabo would be insane. The guys that you can maybe find in the third round like RJ Harvey and DJ Giddens, even further down the line too, and Monungai and all this stuff are exciting as well. But I think the sweet spot for me is day 2, either rounds 2 or 3. And my favorite guys in that range, again, Quinshon Judkins, Cam Scatabo, Caleb Johnson. You guys, you heard the list. I'm absolutely infatuated with all of these guys and their potential with the Chargers this year and in the future. But I would say the number one guy that I think would fit this team, what they need now, what they will need in the future, what would be a huge impact player, of 2026 and beyond, and this year and beyond, probably Quinshon Judkins. And I do think the Chargers attack running back in day 2. But again, such a loaded class. Huge amount of players that I would take in that range. I'm hoping the Chargers feel the same way. All right. Next bold prediction. Chargers will trade up in day 3 for a wide receiver. Now, some of you guys are going to see Trey Harris on here and be like, Director, that's not a day 3 guy. Well, this is the whole point of that slide here, okay? Somebody is going to fall. It happens every year, especially a wide receiver. Like, how is this guy still here? This year's probably going to be Tez Johnson. But you know what I mean? Like, you have guys all over this draft that are going to be available in rounds they have no business being in. And I think the chance of a good wide receiver in this range of day 3, I should say round 4 through like 5 or 6, getting a good one for the Chargers are pretty high. And I would say the likeliness that they trade up or one of these guys seems pretty reasonable to me. You got to think about what the Chargers draft position is in terms of capital is as well. The Chargers have 4 picks in the 6th round. Yes, you can think about that as, okay, we're throwing a lot of darts. We're going to hit on a guy in the 6th round. He's going to be a difference maker. But you can also look at it as ammunition to trade up and get the guy that you're high on a little bit earlier. Let's say the Chargers do start day 3. What would that be? Round 4. And there's a wide receiver still available that they're like, hey, man, I don't know why this guy's still here. Feels like Ladd McConkey last season. Let's trade up and go get him. Use one of those 6th-round picks. Use some of that draft capital to go get your guy early in round 4. Maybe somebody in round 5 if they continue to slide. But I just feel strongly that somebody's going to be there. Kyle Williams, one of those guys that everybody's kind of undecided on how good or bad he could be. I'm very high on him. I think with the Chargers specifically, the kind of separation he would bring is insane. Trey Harris, another obvious target. If he's available in the 4th, which again, I do not expect that to happen, but somebody will be there. You know what I mean? Like, you trade up for these guys. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, I think skill position is going to be something that they're going to be attacking this year. I think you're going to see running back. I think you're going to see tight end. I think you're going to see wide receiver and corner and all that. And I do think they're going to have to get aggressive at some point. They have the ammunition to do it. Later guys make more sense than, Harris and Kyle Williams. Maybe, Torrey Horton, that big wide receiver out of Colorado State, the 6'3 guy with the possession skill set. Pat Bryant would be a really good trade-up option. Dante Thornton is one of my guys of the draft, him and Gunnar Helm. Those are definitely some of my favorite guys. Gunnar Helm being a tight end out of Texas. But these are all excellent trade-up targets for the Chargers. And I think the biggest thing that makes me want to predict this is the range of wide receiver within range of rounds 4 and let's say 6 that are perimeter receivers. Yeah, a lot of them need coaching up. A lot of them need to be developed. A lot of them are, project players. but they bring exactly what you need on the roster. You need size, physicality, the ability to play outside, and there's a good number of them in that range that if you see a guy that is your guy, go get him. And I think the Chargers at some point do make a trade. I don't think it's going to be something as dramatic as last year, that it's in the second round. I mean, it could be, but I think a day 3 trade feels very appropriate. And I think for wide receivers specifically, given the way this class looks, I wouldn't be shocked if it's for that position. All right. Next up, position of cornerback. Bold prediction number, I don't know how many now. Chargers draft 2 corners again. I say this is pretty bold. The likeliness of this happening, I don't know too much about it, but it just feels like the way that they've attacked the position this year, they probably want to develop for the future. They did get Jackson, which is exciting. His speed and playmaking ability is certainly there. St. Juste is also another signing that they made. And then you already have the other 2 corners, in terms of rookies that were so good last year. Are we really going to go 6 deep? I don't know. But I think that, again, like wide receiver, there's some nice corners that fill out what you're looking for in terms of perimeter guys, especially. I think Tariq still is going to be an amazing slot guy for the rest of his career. I think you got other guys in the roster that can play slot pretty well. I think you're looking for some outside guys. And I think the Chargers are going to see a nice, selection of options that they can go for in day 3 specifically, right? Feels like that mid to late round gold that can be sifted, just like we saw last year with Tariq Still and Cam Hart. Let's go do that again. Some guys I really, really like in the middle of the late rounds. Jacob Parrish would be an excellent nickel option if you want him and Tariq Still just to be absolute units for the next, 4 or 5 years. Noah Williams would be an insane option for the outside. If you're looking for a big physical cornerback, Kobe Bryant, Mello Dotson, those guys out of Kansas, both excellent as well. And then the guys a little bit later on, Robert Longerbeam, Zay Frazier, Jason Marshall Jr. out of Florida. Loads and loads of options of big physical cornerbacks that can play the outside. I think the Chargers, given the success that they had last year with their mid-round corners, knowing the kind of value they can get out of the position because of Jesse Minter and the way that he coaches the defense, and honestly, the kind of unbelievable impact the mid-round corners had last year, I would say it's not too far of a stretch of the imagination for the Chargers to go do it again. Now, taking a corner is not a bold prediction in my mind, but taking 2 once again, I think that's definitely bold. I think it could definitely work out. I think at very minimum, you have some really solid depth. Lot of guys that could pop off on this roster. You could go 6 deep and be pretty safe for the year. I think all these guys are excellent. Again, this corner class is not terrible. I think the corner and the wide receiver class, sneakily not bad and pretty deep this year. And I like the running back position early. I'm kind of looking to get a slice of the pie, in this case 2 slices in the late rounds to kind of help round out your depth and maybe take a shot on a guy that can be a gem. All right. Next up, you guys are going to be shocked to see this next image. Okay, sit down. If you're standing up, sit down, please. If the Chargers whiff on tight end, they will trade for Mark Andrews. And yes, I think there's a possibility that a in-draft trade could be possible here. I think it's less likely, but I'm not going to take it completely off the table. But I think there is a contingency plan at tight end that involves Mark Andrews, written somewhere behind the scenes that says, hey, man, if Colson Loveland isn't there at 1, that's the only first-round guy that we're looking at that's likely to be in our range. Let's say round 2 comes and goes and their guy isn't there. Maybe they're super high on Harold Fannin, Elijah Arroyo. Maybe the Oregon guy, Ferguson, doesn't make it. Maybe whatever the way the chips may fall, maybe it doesn't line up for the Chargers getting a tight end. I think there may be a contingency plan in the works to go try and get Mark Andrews if that is the case. And we've heard recently in the last couple of days that Mark Andrews and his future with the team is a little bit up in the air. They're very non-committal to him past this year. They did pick up and pay out his bonus, which I thought really wiped that possibility off the table. But now all the comments about being non-committal to him in the future, maybe the fact that the Ravens want some draft capital, Mark Andrews could still bring in something decent, 4th, maybe 3rd round pick. I feel like the Chargers would be willing to go in on that. And it's a good backup plan, in my opinion. If you don't get one of your guys in a class that, again, has some good tight end, talent, I think if you can get one in the first 4 rounds, maybe you'll be solid. Outside of that, if you whiff, Mark Andrews being an option is certainly a good idea. So I'm going to go with that. I think that's a decent, possibility and one that, if you're trying to cover your bases, you could do a lot worse. All right. Finally, last prediction. The Chargers draft 3 instant impact starters this year. And what I mean by that is you take a look at what the Chargers did last year. Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey, and I'm going to say Tariq Still. All 3 of those guys ran away with the job early. And they were huge pieces to the Chargers' puzzle of winning 11 games and going to the playoffs. Very impactful rookie class in 2024. I think they're going to do it again, man. I really do. It's a little tougher, a little trickier because of where we're lined up this year. Of course, the Chargers, having draft pick number 5 and having the top pick in every round is definitely going to help. Okay, I'm going to say that. Last year, I think their position certainly did help. But we're still in the piece of Jim Harbaugh's career with the Chargers where he really understands, all of these prospects at a level that most other coaches in the NFL will not have. He was there recruiting, shaking hands and holding meetings and workouts with a number of these prospects when he was head coach at Michigan. You've got Joe Ortiz, who's already off to a really good start in his drafting campaign. I think that they can go out there and really take that perspective and find guys to really push the limit of the capability of what draft picks are expected to do in their rookie season. I think if they take a defensive lineman that's as high as, on their board as the next guy at 22, I think he will be an impact player in 2025. If they go edge, I think he will be an impact rotational player in 2025. If they go offense, obviously they're going to be an impact player, whether it be tight end, whether it be running back, whether it be wide receiver, they're going to be involved. And for that reason, I think, again, bold prediction, because 3 is a big number. 3 is a big number. Last year, it was exceptional. We got 3 really, really good rookies. I think we do it again. I think the number of picks come into play here a little bit. 10 picks is insane. And when throwing that many darts, I have to believe the Chargers are going to hit on at least 3 of them. So I feel pretty good about that. Now, to wrap up this episode, wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, but hey, man, we're really down to the wire now. So fewer chances to go do more mock drafts. I'm going to regret it at the end of it. Like, I should have done more. Love mock draft season. Let's do one more here. A predictive mock draft for the Los Angeles Chargers. What are we going to do? Now, in this mock draft, Kenneth Grant is gone. We could, and again, these are guys that I think absolutely could be taken by the Chargers. Walter Nolan, Luther Burden, and Mika Ibuka. I think Ibuka probably fits a little bit more of what they're looking for. Matthew Golden, James Pierce, Omarion Hampton. Maybe my favorite, personally, maybe my favorite player in the first round. Again, I'm not saying it's the right call. I think this draft class is very deep. I think you can get a really good impact player in round 2 or 3. But one of my personal favorite players in this draft is Omarion Hampton. Gray Zabel available there. If the Chargers want to continue going the interior offensive line, lots and lots of options still here. Ultimately, just again, if we're going predictive mock draft, it's Walter Nolan for sure. I think this defensive line class is great. I think Walter Nolan is one of those freaks. Him, Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, all these guys, insane ceilings. Of course, Mason Graham, insane ceilings. Already, what was that? 3 of them taken in front of us. And still, we're getting an awesome ceiling player in Walter Nolan, one of the most freakishly strong players in this draft. Disruptor, definitely produced with 6 sacks last season. Always a problem for quarterbacks, running backs alike. Let's go ahead and take Walter Nolan in round 1. Again, this is predictive. Omar Norman Lott, another really good value here in the second round. Darius Alexander, 2 really good offensive linemen. But hey, we maybe got one of the best players in this year's draft with Walter Nolan. Who do they go for here in round 2? Prince, not even going to try to pronounce the name. Edge player, certainly on the table for them. Running back, very strong here. Jalen Royals will be an awesome selection in the second round if they're looking for wide receiver. Jared Ivey, Darian Porter would be awesome. Quinshon Judkins. I'm gonna let myself have a little bit of fun here, man. Let's go Quinshon Judkins. I think he's such an incredible fit. I think him and Caleb Johnson, very close for me. But I again, in terms of fit, my favorite player in the second round right now is Caleb Johnson. But I think in terms of fit for this team, Quinshon Judkins, Trey Harris would be a good pick here in the second round. Lots of good interior defensive linemen. Let's go ahead and go here with the running back out of Ohio State. I think Quinshon Judkins would just pop on this team. In round 3, who are we looking for? We need wide receiver. We need edge. We need tight ends. Terrence Ferguson's still there. I think Harold Fannin sneakily could be a hugely valuable player to this team. Terrence Ferguson is still there, though. I think tight end is going to be a priority at some point. Jack Sawyer. This is a great value here for Jack Sawyer as well if you're looking for a guy that's got a pretty decent ceiling and floor, I would say. Chargers really are going to be looking at edge at some point. That Elijah Roberts also as well, maybe more of an interior guy, but certainly a guy that brings the strength that you're looking for from the position. Edge kind of feels pretty appropriate to me right now for going predictive. Elijah Roberts, Jack Sawyer, both pretty high to me, but I think, and Savion Jones. I like Savion Jones a lot. We may even see him in the next round. And this is tough because I like a lot of tight ends here, but let's go ahead and go with what I think would happen. Chargers, they're going to go edge at some point. Let's go with Jack Sawyer. I like Jack Sawyer a lot. I think that's a nice value. Chargers will get a lot out of him. And that, this is why. This is why you go with your gut here, man. Gunnar Helm. Yorsick is definitely not a bad option here, too, man. We haven't talked a lot about the Georgia tight end. I think he's got, again, pretty decent ceiling. But Gunnar Helm, to me, he feels like an all-around solid tight end. He can catch, he can run, he can block. Brings a lot to the table that you're looking for. Yes, Miles Frazier could be a pick. JJ Pegues, we already went interior line, though. I'm going to go with Gunnar Helm here, man. I feel pretty good about that selection there. Now here in round 5, Chargers have yet to take a wide receiver, and just so happens there's a wide receiver staring me in the face that I would take 10 out of 10 times. Him and Dante Thornton, two of my guys. But honestly, Pat Bryant really fits what they're trying to do in terms of perimeter play, in terms of strength and blocking. This is an awesome, awesome prospect to the Chargers in particular. We're going to go Pat Bryant here in round 5. In round 6, in which we have 4 selections. Let's look for some depth. Let's look for some upside out here. Some guys that I really do like. Jalen Travis is a really good swing tackle option. I would not hesitate to take him here. Hemingway and Walker, both two other guys that I really like in terms of pass rush. Chargers could go linebacker at some point. I think it's absolutely a possibility, even though I don't love the linebacker class this year. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about him because I was like, man, this is not good. Corner, this is a great place to start looking at cornerbacks. As a matter of fact, let's actually take a look at corner now because it feels like this is definitely the range where you're going to see one come off the board. Fortune is okay. He's got the size that you're looking for. But, speed and stuff may be a bit of a concern here. Corey Black is certainly a really good option as well. He's got the physicality and explosiveness that you're looking for. Zay Frazier, Jason Marshall. We're not afraid to double dip at the position either. I think at this point, let's go cornerback. I'm really struggling between Zay Frazier and Corey Black, I'm going to be honest. Let's go Zay Frazier here. Maybe a little bit higher than his ADP. But we need a guy with some good upside. Zay Frazier, 6'3", 185, decent speed, crazy, athleticism. I love it from that position. Let's continue on here in the 6th round. We could be looking at another swing tackle option here. Played 121 snaps to 602 in 2024. I really did like the Jayhawks blocking, in particular in the run game this year. They're very good in the run game. We could be looking at another tackle option. Jake Majors really good out here. If we want a guy that complements a little bit more in the passing game, Marcus Yarns is not too bad, but Quinshon Judkins can really handle that. I feel pretty good about it. Do we go back-to-back corner and take the other Ohio State guy? I mean, we're going to go heavy on Ohio State with Denzel Burke. I think would be awesome on this team. But 1, 2, 3 Ohio State guys, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it. Jackson Hawes, if we want a really good blocking tight end. This guy's amazing in terms of his blocking. If we wanted to double dip at that position too. None guy's insane. We already got the white. We look really well covered in this draft already. So to that, I'm going to say let's cover our bases in the interior offensive line a little bit. A couple of guys I really do like. Colby's decent. There's Gray as well. Let's see where he's projected. You can probably get him a little bit later. Joshua Gray out of Oregon State, definitely not too bad. Jake Majors, I would be honest with you guys. Jake Majors, if he can play a little bit of guard as well, which I'm assuming that he can, the way he plays in terms of pass protection is insane. That's the kind of depth I want on this football team. We're going to go Jake Majors in round 6. We still have 2 more 6-round picks to choose from as well, which is absolutely insane to me. Let's go with the second cornerback. I said let's go double dip in my bold predictions. Let's do it. Let's put up what we predicted. Denzel Burke, Jason Marshall, 2 very close. But let's go Denzel Burke in this one, man. I feel like, again, he's got the nice measurables you're looking for. 6'1", 193, very good in zone. I think it would be a difference maker. 3 Ohio State players in this draft is pretty insane. 1 more 6-round pick. And what are we looking for in terms of guys that could maybe develop with this team? We can go another wide receiver, Caden Prather. I like him a lot. Linebacker, in terms of depth, are there any guys that I even know in this range? Linebacker, Jay Higgins is not bad. Teddy Buchanan is actually not too bad here too. I think we could get him in the 7th round if I'm being honest. But I kind of want him now. I think Jay Higgins, decent coverage guy. Teddy Buchanan, decent overall guy. I'm kind of a little higher on Buchanan, I think, but it's close. You couldn't go wrong. What about the measurables in both of them? 6'2", 6'2". They're pretty much identical there. I really liked Cal's defense this year, man. Let's go Buchanan on this one. Then finally in the 7th round, so we got a linebacker. Is there anybody we kind of want to take a shot on? I'm gonna see him here every time. If I see Ollie Gordon, who I can't imagine that he would be available. Like, the upside's too high, right? Is everybody that afraid of Ollie Gordon? I don't know. Joshua Gray would be a good pick here too. I can't believe that Ollie Gordon would make it all the way to the 7th round. I almost refuse. But he is representative of the kind of player that we could see here. I feel so good about Quinshon Judkins. I don't think there's a need to draft another running back, but Ollie Gordon, I mean, kind of similar in a lot of ways. He can run, he can catch. If he hits anywhere close to his ceiling, or what he brought in 2023, it could be amazing. But Donovan Edwards, you could say the same about him. He ran a really good 40. He's got the size. Maybe he needs to add a little bit more weight. But ultimately, if we're going predictive, as much as it pains me to pass an Ollie Gordon all the way here in round 7, let's go with the guard. Let's grab a little bit more depth in the interior. I like Gray a lot. Here's my final predictive mock draft. It feels like this is it. I might do a couple of them before the draft tomorrow, just to keep things fun and entertaining while we're waiting for the draft to commence. But this feels pretty appropriate. Would you guys be happy with this? It's a nice blend of what I think the Chargers would do with guys like Walter Nolan, Jack Sawyer, Pat Bryant, and what I think they would do, as well as what I think they should do. Quinshon Judkins, Gunnar Helm, Denzel Burke. These are all definitely really big players that could make a huge impact in this season. So I don't know. You guys let me know in the comment section below how you feel about that last mock draft. Lots of fun. Hopefully I can squeeze in a couple of more before the draft tomorrow. Remember, be here live. I will be live all 3 days. Every single Chargers pick that graces the fandom and the team, I will be there to react with you guys and instantly diagnose and break down and see how we feel about it. It's a fan base. There's going to be so many guys that maybe we don't know because that's just the way of the business. But it's going to be a fun time nonetheless. There's usually hundreds of Chargers fans in here. It's always a party. If you got nowhere to go, virtually be here with us, the director and the Bolt fam. It's always a really good time every single season, man. So excited. I think it's 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Be there. It'll be a good time. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Quinshon Judkins, man. Is this the Ladd McConkey of the season? I don't know. But, man, he would be such a good player for this football team.